What if I told you the misery many face in old age is not a life sentence, but a self-built prison? Most believe their later years are a guaranteed slide into irrelevance and decay. I've identified 9 chains people forge themselves that lock them into a future of despair. If you're shackled by even 3 of these, your so-called golden years will be a grim countdown. Listen closely, because the 9th chain is the one almost everyone overlooks, and it's the most destructive of all. It's a quiet corrosion. I look at the elderly in our world, and a profound sadness grips me. I see souls who have navigated the chaos of life, who have earned their scars and their wisdom. Yet now they sit vacant, eyed in sterile rooms, or wander through their days like ghosts. Their lungs draw air, but their spirit has stopped breathing. They have a pulse, but no purpose. And the raw, painful truth is that this state of living death is not a destination they arrived at. It's a path they chose, step by step, with every chain they refuse to break. The first chain that anchors you to a miserable old age is the dead weight of grievance. I've sat with so many older people whose souls are nothing more than archives of past injustices. They are curators of old wounds, meticulously preserving every betrayal, every disappointment, every slight. They will tell you, with fire in their eyes, about a coworker who cheated them in 1985, or a promise a spouse broke a lifetime ago. This story of victimhood becomes their life's blood, the fuel that keeps their bitter engine running. But grievance is an anchor, and it only holds one person down: you. Every morning you choose to polish that old hurt. You are choosing to chain yourself to a past that cannot be changed. You are a prisoner of people who have long since forgotten you, of moments that have vanished into thin air. You are kept captive by a pain that does nothing but poison your present. These people speak in barbs, find fault in every interaction, and then are mystified when their children pull away, when friends no longer call, and when their final years are steeped in a profound and self-inflicted loneliness. I have seen this chain drag more souls to the bottom than any physical illness. The body gets old, but it's the spirit that drowns first, weighed down by the refusal to let go. When you cling to old anger, you are not hurting the person who wronged you. You are sentencing yourself to relive your own personal hell. Day after day, you are directing a movie where you are always the victim, and you are forcing yourself to watch it on a loop. The solution isn't to deny the pain, it's to cut the rope. It's to understand that forgiveness isn't a gift you give them. It's the key to your own prison cell. It is the act of declaring that your remaining time is too precious to be spent anchored to yesterday's wreckage. The second chain is the slow strangulation of self-imposed solitude. I watch as people retreat from the world, brick by brick, building walls around themselves. They tell themselves it's strength, it's independence, when in reality, it's a fortress of fear. They believe they are above the messiness of human connection, that it's simply easier to be alone. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a series of small surrenders, saying no to a dinner invitation because it feels like too much work. Letting a friend's call go to voicemail because you don't have the energy for a conversation. Dropping a hobby because it's a painful reminder of a more agile past. Each small retreat seems logical, but together they create an impenetrable cell that locks out not just the annoyances of others, but the very light of love, laughter, and shared existence. I have met elders who haven't had a real conversation in weeks, with no one to share a simple thought with, no one to notice if they stumble, no one to care if they don't wake up. They are surrounded by the silence of empty rooms, haunted by the ghosts of people who stopped trying to break through the walls. The tragedy is that this isolation is often just pride in disguise. They say, "I don't want to be a burden," but what they mean is, "I'm terrified of appearing weak, of admitting I still need to be loved." So they choose the silent starvation of loneliness over the risk of being seen. But we are not wired for isolation. We are tribal creatures. An ember separated from the fire quickly grows cold. The elderly who flourish know this. They show up. They invest in people. They understand that connection isn't a bonus feature of life. It's the very source code of our spiritual operating system. The third chain is the rust of a closed mind. I see elders who effectively retired their brains on the same day they retired from their jobs. They stopped asking questions, stopped wrestling with new ideas, and instead filled their days with passive noise, wondering why their inner world feels so gray and lifeless. Your mind is not a library of facts, it's a living garden. If you stop planting new seeds, stop pulling weeds, stop watering it with curiosity, it becomes overgrown with the same old, tired thoughts. You become intellectually brittle, afraid of change, irritated by new perspectives. A prisoner in a museum of your own outdated opinions. I've seen people who were once sharp and insightful become dull echoes of their former selves, all because they bought into the lie that learning has an expiration date. They stopped reading things that made them uncomfortable, stopped debating ideas, stopped trying to understand a world that was changing without their permission. They decided they were too old for that, and in doing so, they locked the door to their own growth. The most alive older people I know are relentless students of life. They are tinkering with new technology, arguing about politics, learning a new craft, asking, why? Until their last day, they know that mental vitality isn't about staying young, it's about staying engaged. When you keep your mind open and active, you keep your soul vibrant. You remain a contributor, not a relic. The fourth chain is the surrender of your physical vessel. I see older people treating their bodies like a car they are done with, letting it rust in the driveway, accepting every squeak, groan, and breakdown as an irreversible fact of its mileage. They stop moving, stop strengthening, stop tending to the very vehicle that carries them through life, and then they curse it for failing them. Your body is not a disposable container, it's your partner for this entire journey. It has carried you, healed you, and fought for you for decades. It has earned your respect and attention, not your resignation. The great lie is that chronic pain, stiffness, and weakness are the normal price of aging. In truth, they are often the bill that comes due for a lifetime of neglect. It's a result of choice, not destiny. I have seen people in their 80s with more power and fluidity than people in their 50s. The secret is not superior genetics, it is relentless consistency. They chose to walk when it was easier to sit. They chose to lift a weight when others chose the remote control. They understood their body was the one home they would ever truly own and treated it with care. Physical health in old age isn't about running a marathon. It's about having the strength to lift your own groceries, the stability to play with your grandchildren, the energy to walk in the sun, and feel the joy of being in a body that serves your spirit, not imprisons it. The fifth chain is the void of a life without a mission. I watch people who spent 40 years honing skills, leading teams, and solving problems, suddenly hit retirement and fall off a cliff. They believe they have earned the right to do nothing. But a human being is a purpose-seeking missile. We are wired to matter, to contribute, to feel that our existence makes a ripple in the pond. When you trade purpose for leisure, you don't find freedom, you find a void. I have seen high, achieving, energetic people crumble into depression and sickness within a year of retirement. They had no reason to get up, no problem to solve, no one who needed their unique gifts. They craved freedom from the burden of responsibility, but what they got was the crushing weight of irrelevance. The elders who thrive never retire from purpose. Their mission evolves. They shift from a career to a calling. They mentor, they volunteer, they create. They become the indispensable wise elder of their family or community. Purpose isn't a job title. It's the conscious choice to keep your light on, to keep sharing your gifts with the world, no matter your age. The sixth chain is navigating the storm of mortality without a compass. This is spiritual bankruptcy. As the body weakens, as friends pass away, as the horizon of your own life becomes visible, you need an anchor deeper than your achievements or your bank account. I have sat with many elders who spent their lives chasing success, only to find themselves terrified and alone with the biggest questions. Who am I without my job title? What was the point of it all? What happens when this body fails? How do I face the end without being consumed by fear? Without a spiritual framework, whether that's religion, philosophy, nature, or quiet contemplation. These questions are a source of sheer terror, not peaceful reflection. Those who have ignored their inner life spend their final years desperately trying to outrun death, clinging to distractions, bitter that the game is ending. But the elders who have cultivated a spiritual core approach their final chapters with a sense of peace. They see themselves as part of a story much larger than their own ego. They understand that death is not a failure, but a natural transition. A spiritual life isn't about finding the right answers. It's about developing the inner strength to live peacefully with the great questions. The seventh chain is the self-inflicted wound of financial ruin. It is the mistake of arriving at your destination with an empty fuel tank. I have seen countless people who earned solid money for decades end up in a state of constant, grinding anxiety in old age because they confused income with wealth. Financial peace in your later years is not about luxury. It is about dignity. It's about having the freedom to make choices that are not dictated by sheer financial panic. It's about not having to choose between medication and a decent meal, and not becoming a source of perpetual stress for your children. The tragedy is that building this security isn't complex, but it demands the one thing our culture of instant gratification hate is discipline. For decades, people live on the edge, chasing the next purchase, promising they will think about the future later. But later has a 100% arrival rate, and when it comes, the bill for a lifetime of financial carelessness is brutal. The stress of poverty in old age infects everything: your health, your relationships, your ability to find a single moment of peace. The elders who age with a sense of calm almost universally share one trait. They learn to treat money as a tool for future freedom, not just for present pleasure. They understood that while money can't buy happiness, its absence can guarantee misery. The eighth chain is making an enemy of death. Our culture treats mortality as a shameful disease, something to be fought, denied, and never spoken of. But by refusing to look at death, we give it all its power. I have been with many people in their final days. The ones who suffer the most are not those in the most physical pain. They are the ones who are spiritually ambushed by a reality they spent their entire lives trying to ignore. Because they never made peace with life's final chapter, they face it with a raw terror, full of regret and a desperate, futile fight for more time. But the ninth and heaviest chain of all, the one that ensures a bitter end, is the refusal to become. It is the deep mistake of believing that aging is a process of losing who you were, instead of realizing it's the process of finally becoming who you truly are. It is the opportunity to distill a lifetime of joy, pain, and learning into pure wisdom. When you fight to stay young, instead of striving to become profoundly old, when you curse your wrinkles, instead of reading them as a map of your soul's journey, you reject your own masterpiece. The elders who take our breath away are not the ones who look the most youthful. They are the ones who have earned their age, who wear their years like a crown, who have transformed struggle into strength and experience into a luminous presence. They are the caterpillars who did not fight the transformation, but embraced the magnificent, painful, and glorious process of becoming the butterfly.